Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today for another virtual webinar on our program called Becoming Bankable. So as you know, all of the classes are related to becoming bankable, making sure if you go to a bank, you have all of the information you need to get that loan. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is business insurance, something that we all need to have for our businesses to make sure that we're covered for any type of liability. So I have Robert Branscomb here to talk about business insurance. He is such a good guy. I get all of my business insurance through him. I've been working with him for the past, I don't know, 2, 3 years. So if you want to know about business insurance, this is the guy to go to. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Robert, and he can take us through his presentation to talk a little bit about what type of insurance we should have for our businesses. So thank you, Robert.
Thank you and good evening. And thank you for having me this evening to talk about business insurance. I know a lot of us out there who we first start thinking about going to business for ourselves for various reasons. It's a very scary path to take, but it's a fulfilling one too. I know I worked in corporate America for about 10 to 15 years. And once I started my first business, which is printing in Los Angeles, it took me about 4 or 5 months to get over the fact that I had to get up every morning and go someplace. But along the way, after starting that business, you kind of learn the essentials that you need to be bankable, to make a business run successfully, and the risk that is involved. You're a business owner now, or going to be a business owner, and there's a lot of pressure and stress on it because every day is a new day, but there's the same old stress to making sure that you generating revenue, that you have your employees, if you do have employees, if you have the products, there's always going to be a problem. And with those problems come risks. And one of the things that you want to mitigate is your risk, especially if you're going to the bank and trying to get a loan for your business or trying to get a line of credit. They want to know if you have all the proper documentation and things in place to protect yourself. Because now that you're a business owner, you're also a target. People might come in and purposely slip and fall, or accidents will happen, and then you'll be liable. So this evening, I'm gonna kind of briefly talk about the different business products that are out there for you, how you can use them in your business and apply them, and some other things that you did not know about business insurance that can help protect you against those pitfalls. So if you see me looking to the right here, that's my other screen. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can start sharing my screen here. I do have a little video I'm going to kind of show briefly, just kind of give you an overview about business insurance and what it is.
A business owner needs to be prepared in the event of a disaster. When accidents, injuries, negligence, theft, or other losses occur in a professional situation, the business and their owners can often be held liable for these losses. What does it mean to be liable? Liability is a legal responsibility to settle financial debts or obligations to those affected by a loss, typically in the form of a lawsuit, which can total amounts greater than the business is able to afford. Business insurance exists to help pay for these liabilities. Business insurance doesn't prevent disasters from happening. Rather, it is a proactive solution that protects you from liabilities once a disaster has occurred. Insurance prevents the cost of business mistakes from leading to complete financial ruin. This video will cover the primary types of business insurance to help you protect your assets and your business, as well as list some of the more specialized policies available. We will also share some agent resources to help you secure the perfect insurance policy for your small business. The term business insurance isn't actually a specific type of insurance policy. Rather, it is a term used to describe the types of insurance coverages designed for business owners and their companies. The specific policies and levels of coverage required will depend on the size and type of business you operate. You don't need to know all the details. A qualified agent will help determine where your liabilities lie and recommend appropriate policies. But every business owner should have a basic understanding of what coverages are available. Insurance is a standard cost of doing business and is relatively inexpensive compared to the potential impact of a lawsuit. Considering that the cost of a single claim can decimate a company, it's the smart thing to do. Let's take a look at 3 of the most common forms of small business insurance. The first is general liability insurance. General liability insurance is the most common type of business insurance, as it covers the most basic needs that are shared among all types of companies. Things like bodily injury on your business's property and physical damage caused by employees are covered by this policy. If you aren't sure which types of insurance your company needs, you should look here first. Bear in mind, general liability insurance does not cover employee injury, which brings us to the next common type of business insurance, workers' compensation insurance. Workers' compensation insurance, workers, or workman's comp for short, is meant to protect the interest of your employees if they are injured on the job. It can also protect your business from a lawsuit if that employee needs additional compensation for their injuries. If you have any employees, you'll likely need this coverage. Almost all states have laws requiring workers' compensation insurance. Thirdly, there is professional liability insurance. Also known as errors and omissions insurance, professional liability insurance is a policy that is meant to protect professionals in the workplace. Expert advice given to a client by you or your employees may not always lead to the desired result. If your guidance is deemed inaccurate, negligent, or fails to deliver agreed upon results, it can leave you open to liabilities if the client is financially damaged and blames your company. Professional liability insurance is essential protection for providers of professional or expert advice. Real estate agents, insurance agents, financial advisors, and other coaches and consultants can all benefit from this type of insurance. Aside from these foundational types of insurance coverages, there are also more specific policies available. They are typically specialized to match the unique needs of different businesses. Commercial auto and property insurance, which are similar to personal auto and homeowners insurance, but for professional vehicles and workplaces. These policies protect owners against damages arising from car accidents, fire, certain natural disasters, and so on. Business interruption insurance compensates your business a percentage of lost revenue in the case of a catastrophe and business shutdown. Product liability insurance covers physical or other harm to a customer that is caused by a product that you manufacture or sell. Home-based business insurance covers gaps in your homeowner's insurance policy if you run a business out of your home. And data breach insurance covers some of the damages in the event that your customer's digital data is breached or stolen. To simplify administration and save money, you can consolidate your coverages with a business owner's policy, also known as a BOP. A business owner's policy is a group of insurance policies tailor-made for small businesses. These packages typically include general liability, commercial property, and business interruption insurance, and can be customized to your business's specific needs. In conclusion, your business needs insurance. This fairly modest investment will protect both your business and personal assets from the inevitable liabilities that arise from mistakes and disasters. Now that you've seen the basic types of business insurance policies, you can learn more about each one in detail at our website. Check out the links in the description below for over 300 business ideas with detailed insurance breakdowns of what policies and coverage you will need. We also provide recommended agent links to speak directly with a specialist to help you get the best rate on the policies your business needs. We are dedicated to providing the most useful information for small business owners and would love to see your feedback in the comments on what other information you need to help follow your entrepreneurial dreams. Visit us at howtostartanllc.com.
You're on mute. We can't hear you.
I'm so sorry. That was just a short video that kind of described some of the different type of business policies and different type of risks that are out there for different type of business owners. I know that it could be overwhelming sometimes to try and figure out what the right type of insurance for you is. There was mention of general liability, professional liability, business owners, but hopefully tonight I can answer those questions for you and kind of give you some comfort in knowing that, you know, you can get business insurance. It is necessary for your business, and you can feel comfortable and satisfied in the fact that you know that you'll be covered properly when you get it, and it's affordable. I'm gonna start showing my screen again here. Okay, can everyone see my screen here? If you can't, please let me know.
Yes.
Okay. So this is kind of a brief kind of slide presentation here, just kind of go over some things and kind of give you an idea of what is important as far as getting insurance and for coverage for you, your employees, and your company. First thing though is ultimately, you don't want to protect your personal assets. As a business owner, it is vital that you protect your personal assets. You might have been in business a short time and don't have a whole lot of assets, or you could have been a professional for a long time in your mid 40s or 50s, have a home, family, and car. And you don't want to put those in risk. So you want to protect those things and make sure that if in the event something does happen to you, that they won't be threatened to take it away from you or you're forced to liquidate them. And one thing you have to do is right away is become an LLC. That's very important. It's important because you want to separate yourself again from, from your personal side to your business side. When you become an LLC, your business becomes its own entity. And within that, all the personal business property that's in the entity and all the dealings in the business are attached to that business. And if for some godforsaken reason you are sued, they only can go after those assets in the business. Now, it's not foolproof. It's not like, okay, well, they can't come after my personal assets, but it's at least a veil that separates you, says, hey, I'm serious, I'm in business. These are my business assets. This is how I'm conducting business. If I'm an LLC, I can be a single member LLC. I can have member managed. This is what I'm doing. If I'm paying myself, I'm doing W-9 for my employer, for people who work for me, if I had W-2, things like that. And it's very easy and it's very cheap to do that. I know here in Arizona, you can go to the Secretary of State and do a name search to see if your name is being used or if the name for your business is being used. And then you can go to the Corporate Commission and I think, believe around $85, you can get an LLC. Also, you can go to the website for the IRS and get an EIN. Those two things right there will get you a bank account. As I'm sure that you've probably talked in the past, but that will get you a business bank account and then you're up and running. Now, the types of business insurance, as you saw in the video, there's general liability, there's personal liability, there's workman's comp. Just kind of go briefly over those coverages again and kind of put a little more detail to them so you kind of get a better understanding of what those are. Okay, workers' comp insurance. Workers' comp insurance is for business owners who have W-2 employees, either full-time or part-time. This is mandated by the state and federal government. The way workers' comp insurance works is that your payroll for the year. So you're going to estimate if I have 5 employees and I'm paying them total for a year of payroll, say $100,000, based on their work category, which is you go to a website or there's a breakdown of classifications, and those classifications get a number depending on how big of the risk is. The lower the number, the lower per dollar you pay for that employee. So if there was an office employee, that's pretty low because they're not doing things strenuous or dangerous. It might be a mod number of 1.5 or 1.7. But if you have someone that's out, doing construction and doing roofing, that would be a higher mod. And they'll take that percentage versus what your payroll is, forecast, and then you will be giving a monthly premium to pay for that workman's comp. Now, workman's comp, you pay forward and not backward. The best way to do workman's comp is to do it monthly. If you can find an insurance company that would just pay as you go is the term, then that's better, because if you hire more, then you're already paying for those additional employees. And if you cut back, you're paying for the cutbacks. The worst thing that happens at the end of the year when you're paying for workman's comp, if they set it for annually, you're going to pay that no matter what. And at the end of the year, you get what they call an audit. And that audit, if it shows that you had more payroll than you estimated, then you owe, and you have to pay that. But if you pay less, then you get a refund. That's why it's best to go pay as you go, and when you get workman's compensation at all possible. But remember, the key thing is if you have W-2 employees, full-time or part-time, that qualifies you and you must get workman's comp. Now, if you never had workman's comp before and you try to get it, sometimes insurance companies might not allow you or provide you with the opportunity to get it. So if you get rejected 3 times then you can go to the federal website, or you can go to the federal program and get workman's comp to get you started. Commercial general liability insurance. This is probably one of the most common business insurance there is. It's liability. Usually it's minimum of $1 million and per occurrence, or $2 million, total aggregate. And per occurrence means that for every occurrence, or every time someone says you violated them, or they got hurt because of slip or fall, something like that, the policy will pay up to, if you found negligent, $1 million per instance. But it will only pay a maximum per year of $2 million. So that's key to remember. You have that $1 million threshold. So you might, if you had 5 people and they all claimed $100,000, they will all get paid under that insurance policy. And it will not exceed the $2 million for the year. But if they all decide to do $1 million, then only 2 of those people who get paid the $1 million, and then the rest you have to come out by either liquidating or pulling your personal assets to pay them off. That's why it's important to know in your business what type of liability and coverages that you need because of the risk that you're doing. Also, this covers personal injury, medical. If someone got hurt and they had to go to the hospital, that covers places that are rented to you. Some of it covers product liability if you're producing a product. Also has advertising. If something happens and you make an advertising claim and it was not true and they want to sue you because of false advertising, it's usually covered. It is covered, not usually. It is covered in the general liability. Commercial property insurance. Commercial property insurance, there's 2 types of commercial property insurance. There's the property insurance that you're the owner of the building, and there's the property insurance that you're a renter. Most of the time, a lot of people who are in business are the renters. So they don't own the building, but they want to make sure that their property in the building is covered. Some companies say that, okay, we give you a lease and you have a triple net, and if the air conditioner goes out, you're responsible to pay for it. Or if there's a water break in your unit and it floods, you're responsible, you have to pay for it. Those are some of the things that commercial property insurance covers. Normally, when you're a tenant in a commercial property, the landlord would ask that you would include them as an additional insured. An additional insured means that they want to be on your policy. So if something happens because of your negligence, they don't have to enact their policy to be covered. They want to be on your policy and be included. There is normally no charge to add someone as an additional insured on your policy. It's very normal when you signed a tenant agreement that the landlord asks to be additional insured. So if you ever see that, come across that, there's no other cost, but it's just a way that the landlord protects themselves from your negligence. That's something that you did on their property. Commercial flood insurance. Commercial flood insurance is different than homeowners flood insurance. Commercial flood insurance pays for damages caused by floods that are not covered under your commercial property insurance. So if there was a flood, say here in Arizona, and your business was affected, you could get compensated. Versus the homeowners, they have to get flood insurance through the government, and they pay a separate premium for that. So commercial flood insurance is just straightforward. It's just flood insurance for an event that there was a flood occurred and your business was closed. Business income insurance, also known as business interruption insurance, is an insurance that says if your business and it caught fire, or the pipes broke and you cannot conduct business for a certain amount of time, that you can get income to make sure that that you can still pay your bills and pay your employees, and B, just to make sure that when you come back from that disaster, that you can be back and hit the road running again. The one thing that a lot of people find out, though, for the COVID-19, when they had business income insurance, they thought that it would be covered under their policies. But a few years back, the insurance industry put a little disclaimer in that said that one of the things that they wouldn't cover would be basically a disease or infection as cost. And so that's why a lot of businesses today didn't get that business interruption, because when the government shut them down, that gave the insurance companies the footing and the leverage to say, hey, it's in our fine print that because the government shut you down, that we don't have to pay you business income insurance. So it's crucial that when you look for this insurance, that look at the verbiage and see what are the risks and what are the checkpoints that will be to enact that you get covered for business insurance. Professional liability insurance. Professional liability insurance is usually for like lawyers, doctors, accountants, people who give advice or do things on a higher level that people take their advice and act on it, or move on it, or say that, hey, I did this because you told me to, because you're professional and I trusted in you. Realtors, especially homeowners, when they get a realtor and the realtor says, okay, I'm going to get you this house and something's wrong with the house and wasn't disclosed. That's the kind of insurance, that professional liability insurance, all realtors should keep and make sure that they have in their arsenal. Commercial auto insurance is pretty straightforward. If you have vehicles in your business and you use them for business purposes, you get commercial auto. When you have business autos, you become a big billboard, and there are people out there with target your vehicles to run into them, because most of the time commercial vehicles just pay out. I know when I was working for Federal Express and I started as a courier, they always warned us that we're a big billboard and people will intentionally try to run into you or get an accident because they know FedEx will pay out. So we was always on the alert to make sure people didn't run into us. And sure enough, they always tried. So commercial auto insurance is good for your company, just to make sure that you have that separate from your personal one. Now, some of the individuals out here probably operating their personal vehicle and for business and for their personal use. You can get you can get business insurance on your personal vehicle through your personal insurance policy if you choose. It just basically says that you use this vehicle for business and personal use, and in the dealings of your everyday enacting of moving around or conducting business, you get in a crash, then they say, okay, that was the business side and we got that covered, versus the personal side. Directors and officers, this is more for nonprofits and things like that, for larger businesses who they have a board of directors and their decisions could affect different types of areas that they might be doing business in, stuff like that. So these are just for people on the board, and it's pretty easy to get. It kind of puts another layer on top of their own professional or their own personal insurance. So if they got sued as a organization, they will be covered. Commercial umbrella insurance. Commercial umbrella insurance is additional liability coverage. So if we go back to the general liability, and there was $1 million per occurrence and $2 million aggregate, if you got a commercial umbrella for $3 million, that $3 million will be $3 million for each occurrence and $5 million for aggregate. It just increases your liability levels and gives you more protection against lawsuits. The business owner policy, which is known as the BOP. The business owner policy is an all-inclusive policy. This policy tends to be sometimes a little more expensive, but it's more inclusive. It includes things like securities. If somebody came in and robbed you, or you going to the bank and got robbed, it'll say like if you need your locks changed, or if the city or the state says, hey, we changed the zoning ordinance and you got to put up a different sign. It is more comprehensive and it covers a lot more areas about the business. Normally, this is for business owners who have a brick and mortar, or people who are growing in their business and their risk is getting greater than it was before. And so they want to combine it and make it just one big policy that takes care of everything. Sort of like if you look at general liability as basically the smorgasbord, and look at the business owner's policy like the 7-course meal. Business insurance costs. Business insurance costs depends on a few factors. the business type, size of business, industry of products and services that you offer. If your employees operate heavy equipment or in a store or office, and business property and assets. But the key thing is that when you look for business insurance, there are so many different companies that can provide that for you. You can find the cost savings. But the most important thing is, before the cost, is the coverage. You want to make sure that you as a business owner, as an individual, is covered properly. The worst thing to find out is that you paid for insurance, and when you need to use it, the coverage wasn't there. So that's a waste of money. But I also know that cost is a big factor sometimes. So first thing I always tell my clients is, let's look at the coverage that you need and work backwards. And if there's some coverages that you say right now that you can't afford, let's plan in the future to come back and revisit those, because I want to see you grow. I want to be in business with you, but it's my job to be sort of like the Grim Reaper, to think of all the things that could go wrong and want to make sure that you're covered properly. That is the key thing, is that you are covered properly. So ultimately, the different type of insurance are going to depend on how often the business that fits that same profile, you are sued, and how much insurance company has to pay out when they are. That's just the bottom line for business insurance. For those times where you hate to say somebody comes in and, there's a water on the floor and they slip and fall and hit the knee, and they get up, crying, they can't walk anymore. And the lawyer says that, we're going to sue you everything because my client can't go to work. That's what this insurance is for, is it gives you that peace of mind to protect that it's your business that is covered and not going after your personal assets. And just another slide, just saying, like I said before, who are your employees, what kind of work they're doing, commercial, are they in heavy equipment, are they in the office, are they doing professional services? That's the type of companies that the insurance it will provide for you, and make sure that you have the appropriate coverages. So the bottom line is that hopefully now you have a brief understanding of what business insurance is and how you can use it. If you have any questions after this presentation, I think I'd like to spend more time answering questions than doing the presentation, but at least want to give you a good background and what business insurance is about, the best way to go about seeking it, what type of insurance that you should have that fits your company. And of course, I have to put my information up here. So my company's called Branscomb & Associates. I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona. I do auto, home, life, health, and commercial. There's my phone number and my email. If you have any questions, if you've got insurance from someplace else or need from me, any questions about insurance, please, please, please call me and ask me. I'll be more than happy to help you, because I know how it is to be a business owner, because I'm a small business owner myself. And the more resources I have, the better it is that help me get down this path of sole proprietorship. And with that, I'll take some questions and we can start the discussion.
Hey, Robert, thanks for this, Brother Ali. Thanks for the presentation. That was really helpful. Many of those types of insurance I'm familiar with, but some of them were new to me. I had a quick question around events. So we do a lot of events through our businesses, but we also rent out space for other people to do events. And so if someone else is coming in to do events and we don't necessarily want to extend our coverage, how do we make sure that they have the coverages that they need, so for an event that they're doing in our space?
That's a good question. Well, first of all, if you're promoting events and they're coming into an event, they are considered a vendor. And so one of the things that should be standard operating procedure for you is that all vendors must carry their own insurance and have you as an additional insured. That way that you know that if something does go wrong, because you can't monitor all the vendors at one time, you can't monitor them all at one time, and you don't want it to fall back on your insurance. So in your contract, what you have them do is give you a certificate of insurance, and it's a document. Just basically says who's the insurance agent, their business, who's the insurance company that's insuring them, what are their coverages, and who's the certificate holder. That will be you as the additional insured, and have that before you go ahead and let them participate in your events.
Got it. Thank you. And from a vendor side, just because a lot of the business we'll be dealing with of vendors may not be familiar with this, that process, is that something that vendor insurance, is that something that they should get, let's say on an ongoing basis, or is that per event? Like what is some of the best ways for them to, most feasible and efficient ways for vendors to make sure that they're covered if they're attending multiple events across the city?
Well, the first thing you should look at is how often are you attending these events, because I can sell you insurance by the hour, by the day, by the month, or by the year, just depending on how frequently you're going to do that. And the cost factor involved is much cheaper if you buy it by the year, of course, because I'm going to be doing 10 or 20 events, and getting the insurance for each event each time is going to cost me more than what it is if I just had a policy for the whole year. So it's crucial to figure out, okay, how many times a year I'm going to have this event to make it cost effective for me. But every time that you do go to participate, like I said before, an event, make sure that they have that insurance and get that certificate. You can go online and get, insurance by the hour, but if you don't know how to get it properly and what the right coverages are, you still could be left vulnerable for lawsuit if something goes wrong.
Got it. Thank you. That's helpful.
Thank you for the question. Anyone else?
I have a question for you. For some of these policies, what is the standard amount? You know what I'm talking about? So if I get a general liability, should I get $1 million policy, a $2 million policy? What is the standard, or does it depend on the industry?
I say the standard is 1 million, 2 million, and that's 1 million per occurrence, 2 million aggregate, and across the board. And when I say those numbers, people must think like, oh, it costs a lot of money. So sometimes it's just not. You can get $1 million, 2 million based on your industry and what you do for maybe $400 or $500 for the whole year. It just depends on the risk. So I would get as much as you can afford to make sure that it covers everything that might eventually happen if something goes wrong. It's about a peace of mind, basically. So.
Yes, this is Brother Jay, Jermaine Shoulders. My question was going to be similar. What is the standard, and is it per industry? My industry is entertainment, so it would be that 1 million, 2 million for that as well, right?
That's usually the threshold. Now, the entertainment industry, you might want to look a little differently, because if you had if you're doing an event, entertainment event, and that is probably going to cost you maybe a couple of $1 million, and then you have some maybe other liabilities that could happen at the venue. If there was a fight break out, people got hurt, then you might want to bump that up. That's why you have a commercial umbrella. So you might want to say, hey, I can do the standard, but I might need $2 or $3 million more just to give me a buffer to make sure it's okay. So really, you have to look at the what are you doing as far as your events and the output and the risk that you have involved if something should go wrong.
Okay. So here's why I asked if it's industry specific, and thank you for that. I may be, say, for example, I'm a writer director, so I may be on the street filming something, or I may, filming on the location, or filming inside of a building or a room. I know I need to have some kind of insurance. So with that, is there a standard for that type of work, where it's about 4 or 5 people on a set? Anything can happen on the set, but would there be a standard coverage for that?
Well, standard coverage, and I don't want to get it confused. There's the normal, what people usually start with, the general liability. Now, if you're filming, obviously you're filming in the city, you have to get permits, someone owns the building, you have equipment, you have people working for you. Those costs can mount up, right? That could be a lot. And so if something goes wrong, God forbid, that could be a couple $1 million right there. So you have to determine first personally how much that you feel that is. Sometimes though, the city, well, not sometimes, most of the time, the city or the state, whoever you sign that contract with to film, they would tell you that, hey, you need to carry this much insurance. This is the minimum that you need to have with us in order to get this permit or fulfill this contract. So it's kind of like, you can have the million, but if you might need to bump it up, you can bump it up at any time. It's not like, well, I got $1 million worth of insurance. I got to wait till it renews next year to bump up the coverage. You can raise and lower that coverage at any time and point during the policy while it's in force. So you're not stuck with those numbers. So if you need to raise it up for one time when you're shooting on an outside location, and you might be doing a pyro scene, and so there's a chance that somebody might get burned. You might want to raise the limit up for that shoot. Or if you're going to go and do something simple office, and it's a low risk of getting hurt, you can just lower it down for that. So it's really flexible. But the big thing is know what the city or the government or the landlord, whoever it is, what their minimum insurance that they require you to have before that they allow you to shoot on their facility.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the question.
Hey, Robert, can you talk to us a little bit about the relationship between business insurance and like legal representation? Like if somebody comes in and files a suit because of an accident or something, right? Do we go directly through insurance, or do we still, at that point, you still fight it? If you lose the case, you tap into insurance. Like, how does all that work?
Well, business insurance basically help pays for the legal fees and the determination if you found liable, right? So if someone came in and says, hey, I was outside and I was walking past and your sign fell down and broke my leg, or, and I'm suing you. Okay. Well, then what you do then is you would call in your insurance company and say, hey, this person said that, because of my sign, their leg got broken, and I'm gonna, probably be going to court. And so, insurance company, they're gonna do their investigation, but the money there is supposed to help pay for some of those legal fees. And if the determination, if you found liable, to pay those off. So that's why I say it's important to become an LLC and move your personal assets away from your business, so they're not attached to any type of settlement if you're found guilty or negligent that you might be responsible for.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Anyone else?
Can you talk a little bit more about professional services insurance? Do you need that plus business liability, or if you're just professional services, do you need one or both? Yeah.
Normally you need both, because you have a business that you're operating under a name, and those have certain type of risk involved, and people patronize your business. Professional liability is people based on what you advise them to do or offer them, is for those type of individuals. So you can have both policies, even though that you have a business owner's policy. The professional liability covers anything that you might recommend or that you were doing. So for instance, like an insurance agent, I can get professional liability insurance because I'm talking to people and giving them advice about what type of insurance coverages they have and what they need. For instance, if we talk about auto insurance, there's some minimum coverages. And if you have a home, I would highly recommend that your minimum coverage should be 100, 300, 100. You tell me like, oh no, it should be 25, 50. I need a minimum. I don't need that. You go get in an accident and it's your fault, you get sued and you don't have enough insurance, then you want to come back and say, hey, you should have told me I should have had that 100, 300. And I'm like, oh, yes, I did. And most of the times I have people sign stating that I advised them on insurance based on their situation and they refused that coverage to cover myself. That's what professional liability happens. If I didn't document that, that's my word against theirs. Then they'll find me at fault because I should have recommended, because they came to me as a professional seeking professional advice on their situation as far as being covered.
Okay. Thanks, Robert.
Anyone
And
else?
Oh yeah, actually yeah. Would it be a good idea to insure my equipment as well? So um my cameras, my laptop, the things that I use to hold lights, things like that. The lights, would I insure that particular stuff as well? Would that be a good idea?
Oh, of course, definitely. That's called inland marine insurance. And so there's an umbrella coverage and then there's scheduled coverage. The umbrella coverage will cover any and all of your equipment up to XYZ. And normally that is like 2,500. But in your case, you probably have cameras that start at like $4,000, right? And that 2,500 is just not going to cut it. So what you'll do is you schedule your equipment, saying that this is what I have, here's the receipts, or this is what I got appraised on it. And I want to make sure that this piece of equipment gets covered, because if it gets lost, broken, stolen, damaged, I need it replaced. So my best advice for you is this. Hopefully you have an inventory of all your equipment. Take pictures of it. Take pictures of it, put it in the cloud. Okay. And as you add on to them, make sure you take pictures, make sure you put them on your inventory list. Because if you happen to have something go wrong, it's stolen, whatever, those items you want to be able to recall and prove that you had it, right? And in those pictures, there's metadata data that says, hey, he took this picture on this date, this time, and this place, and to prove that you had that piece of equipment.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another quick question, Robert. Is insurance, is it generally based off of the business or off of the property? So for example, if one of the properties that we're in, there's 3 or 4 different businesses housed in the same location. But if the location has insurance, if something happens in one of those individual businesses, does that roll up to the overall property's insurance, or would each individual business need to have their own?
Okay, because you kind of blanked out there for a minute, so I'm kind of recap what you're asking me. So if you have, say, a building by itself and there's 3 or 4 different businesses in it, and something happened to the building, how does that roll up to? Is that correct?
Yeah, or and vice versa. If something happens to an individual business that's inside of that building, would it go off of, if the building owner or building itself has insurance, does that cover the underlying businesses inside of it?
Well, say if you're in like a strip mall, right? And there's a bunch of business in the strip mall. There's the landlord who owns the whole property. He has coverage on that strip mall. But he will ask that each individual tenant in there who occupies the space in there, they have their own insurance. So if the strip mall caught on fire and it was because the landlord, if it comes to find out after investigation, the landlord was negligent in the maintenance of the electrical box, then his insurance company will have to take care of you as well as your own insurance. Now, there's the thing called subrogation. So subrogation means that, okay, they will go to the next person in line insurance. So if you're covered by 3 or 4 people, there's the first position subrogation. They'll get, say 33%, they'll pay 33% out of the coverage. The second and third was still paying the same 33%. You would get 100%. You wouldn't get 100% from each company. So as a tenant, you will make sure that you have your own insurance. So in case the landlord, because you don't really know if he's keeping up on it or not, right? Because he might say he has insurance and something goes wrong and you're just going to be stuck out there. You don't want to pay for the bill because he didn't keep up his end of the bargain. You have your own insurance. And if his insurance didn't cover enough, your insurance company will pay for the deficit and go after his insurance company to get that money back.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
So Robert, if I would go into a bank because I need a loan, what paper, what would they be asking me for if I was a brick and mortar? What business insurance would they expect me to have?
If you had a brick and mortar, that means that you either own the building or you were a tenant. So they want to see proof of insurance on that. Also, as I said when I first started the presentation, you want to make sure that you have some type of formation as a business, LLC or incorporated or whatnot, have that paperwork with the EIN number. How banks loan and just like insurance company, they look at the risk and evaluate the risk to see if, if it's people are responsible. And responsibility is making sure that you have all the proper documentation in order and all the other things necessary to conduct business in line. And insurance is one of those things.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any more questions for Robert? He's all things business insurance, so he'll give us the little, the lowdown.
Whatever you need, I mean, ask away. I know that, Cirilla, you sent me a list of people and some of the things that they're doing, and I kind of went through these. And some of them are general liability, some of these are BOP, some of them like restaurants. Insurance companies love restaurants, because they're transactional businesses, and they have a lot of risk to them, but they want to make sure that they're covered. So they're pretty usually pretty cheap premiums. Beauty industry. Also, like I said earlier, sometimes you might have to have insurance, but you don't need it, that much, and you don't want to pay for a whole year because you're not doing that type of business. So let's say that you're a DJ and you do weddings, and you might do 1 or 2 weddings a year. If you have a business or general liability, that's usually an annual policy, and you'll pay on that monthly for the year. So if you only use it 2 or 3 times, that might not be, the most economical way to go about things. I have access to policies, like I said before. If you're a DJ, you're doing a wedding, I can get you a policy for 4 hours. You'll cover general liability, 1 million, 2 million. Okay, you might pay $75 for it, $80. Okay, give that to the wedding planner, or you give it to the reception hall owner who's saying that you need to have that insurance. And once you're done, you're done. And the next day, that policy canceled. Or you can do it for 6 months. It's at the place now that there's really no excuse not to have insurance for your business.
Okay.
With general liability, is there generally a deductible, just like every other type of insurance?
There's a deductible. You can get a no deductible. You can get a $500 deductible, $1,000. Is this what you feel that you want to self-insure? That's what the deductible is. That said, hey, I'm a self-insure myself up to $1,000. So if there was a loss and it was $600, I'm gonna pay for that out of my pocket. But if there was a loss and it was like $5,000, I'll take care of the first 1,000, and I want the insurance company to pay the other 4.
Got it. Okay.
So let me ask you this, and I don't know if I can see everyone on here on the list, but I'd like to put this question out. Why did you want to become a business owner in the first place? What were some of the factors that you said, hey, I want to come out and start my own business and work for myself?
I would say for me, I always wanted to start my own business. After I graduated with my master's degree, that was one of my goals, was to work for myself. Um, and then as I started working corporate, I was like, oh yeah, I got to get up out of here.
Agreed, Cirilla, agreed. I am with you on that one. And that's really why I started also, because I didn't want to, I mean, I have a part-time job, but my business is my focus. Really because I don't want to work for somebody else. I understand. And this is just through some mentorship that I'm getting from this really great couple. But, you know, when I work for somebody else, I'm building somebody else's dream and I have my own dreams. So this is part of why I've started my own business.
Well, being an insurance agent, I come across all type of businesses and all type of people. People start businesses for different reasons. One of the most common, incidentally, is people just fell into it. They had a hobby, they were doing something that they like, they're doing it on the side. Okay, they might put some money away into their jar or something like that. And all of a sudden, it's pulling time away from them, and they make that push like, hey, I need to do this for myself, but I don't know what I'm doing. And so many times when I talk to individuals who start for business, I kind of advise them on different aspects of it. I say, okay, let's get your insurance right. Let's make sure you got the L.L.C, get your EIN number together. When you go open the bank account, that's what you need to do. When you have customers, you want to make sure you have product liability if baking cakes or things like that. And then, if you need some resources, like, okay, if you're baking cakes, I know someone who has a kitchen that's open that, so it'll take you out of your home from cooking, which can cause a higher liability for you because you're in the kitchen more. And if you caught on fire, your risk is more and then you just have to pay more, or you can use this kitchen for a couple hours. So as an insurance agent, I touch a lot of different people and industries, and I have a pretty decent network. So if there's something that someone needs or knows about, I usually know that person or know someone who can get that for them.
For me, starting a business was a decision I made. Was I wanted to be able to take care of my family with um, with my God-given talents instead of just using my wits to get by in corporate. You know what I mean? And, that kind of runs dry. So I just wanted to kind of just step out on my own, and I visualized myself doing it. So I said, I'm just going to take a chance. And yeah, I'm still hanging on in corporate work and temp, but I'm also working my dream. I'm writing, as a matter of fact, right now while we're on this call too, taking notes, and I'm writing and listening. But yeah, that's why I wanted to do it, man. I just wanted to just say why work for someone else when I was given all of this talent and all of these ideas and all of these abilities to use for my own benefit. Why don't I just do that?
Where follow your passion, man, because I went to college and got my degree. I messed around, played football and all that good stuff. And college for me was work, because I was playing football and going to school, so I didn't have a whole lot of free time, right? It was always just dictated. And then when I got out to the world, it wasn't too much different than when I was in college. I was working for somebody else. I was playing football. I was playing football for the university, and I was out there getting beat up. And at some certain point in time, you got to, figure like, okay, I had enough. I'm getting tired of getting beat up, right? I might as well just get beat up on my own. And I'm just going to assume that we all on here are African Americans. One of the biggest challenges is, especially for me, even today, is, do I put my face on my, business cards? Do I let people know that I'm an African American? Because I'm realistic. I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in a state that they had a lot of racial tension, and people who had 3 letters in their name and stuff like that. And you want to make sure that I can do business just as good as anybody else, but just because my face on the card, is that going to detract from people who want to do business with me or who I am or by my name? And so you have to be commended to have the courage to go out here and do this. It's not easy. It's never easy. It's days that, you wonder how you get through it. Just whatever you do, if you pray, you stay positive, and you put out in the universe, don't give up, because they want you to give up. They want you to come back and just rely on them. Like I said earlier, when I started my business in California, I was doing printing for 125 schools in the LA Unified School District. And, it was taking care of me. I built my mom a house. But when I finally decided to let go of my corporate job and do it, I literally kept getting up every morning trying to figure out, where am I supposed to go? Because I got so in the habit of being programmed to go to work, right? I was just like, go to work, go to work.
Yeah.
But I've never felt any freer than at any point in my life. And so if I'm going to hunt and kill, I might as well eat what I hunt and kill. And so if I'm gonna have the stress of that, I might as well have the stress relying on myself, because I believe in myself, than doing that for somebody else. And if for someday they get up on the wrong side of the bed, don't like something I said, say, well, you know what? No more house payment for you, no more car payment for you, because you know what? You're fired.
Yep.
Yep.
You're
Yeah.
gone, right?
At any
So
moment.
when we're out there, anyone who's out there trying to do business for themselves, it's a grind. But it's something that you have to reach down inside and say that, hey, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. There's been a lot of mornings when I get up and like, excuse me, like, what the hell am I doing? Right? Because the day that before was crazy. But there's a saying that I try to keep in the back of my mind all the time, is saying, like, today is a new day. And if yesterday was a bad day, today might be a fantastic day. And there was a lot of days like that were fantastic. And so, I commend it. And this sign back here with my picture back here, I don't know if you can see it, excuse the back of my head, but I'll read it to you. It says obligation, and it's the cotton separators, roughly around 1885. And these are Black people out here sifting through cotton, pulling the seeds out. And it says, we owe it to our ancestors and to the sacrifices they made to continue to achieve higher goals while maintaining our identity.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely right.
And I had that behind me because it reminds me, like, they were suffering. I can be pulling cotton. I'm not pulling cotton because
Right.
they did it for me. So
Right.
anything that I do is nothing compared to what they went through. So
Right.
I can keep pushing forward.
No, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Real. That's real. Yeah,
Real
mine.
talk.
I echo everything that was said. Mine is similar. It's just that when we look at so many of the problems that we have in the community and the condition, a lot of it is due to a lack of wealth, a lack of economic power, and we know why that exists, right? It was taken from us, but in order to rebuild it, in order to get the resources that we need to fix these problems, right? We can't do it if we're limited by what someone else is willing to give us, what someone else is willing to pay us. And so through our own businesses, and like you said, just reaching down, there's no roof, there's no ceiling on what we can accomplish and what we can build. And so, it's just necessary for more of us to have that kind of mindset so that we can keep building and keep growing our resources and keep, creating a brighter future for our children.
Well, let's get rid of the first misconception, is that Black people aren't professional. When I was in corporate America, the most professional people I ever came across were Black. Now, even though that, there was, different cultures in the workplace, and they were professional too, but the most professional people that I met were Black. But the problem is that we don't have faith in each other, and we should, right? We should. It's tough because we've been programmed to do that. So, we just have to keep on moving forward and not let those detractors try to discourage us, to continue to put those chains on our mind and just rely on them for how we live our life. When do we decide to do this or do that? It's scary because they made it scary. But you know what? To me, fear causes you to do one of three things. It makes you run, it makes you stand still, or it makes you run forward towards it, right? And so I like to run towards it, even though a lot of times when I'm running towards it, I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to come out, but I know this, I can't go back.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we give up too early, right? We have obstacles and they keep coming at us like, man, forget it, but we have to work through those obstacles and like you said, don't give up because there is light at the end of the tunnel if you just stick with it, you know. And I do remember when I started my business, woo-wee, I didn't make no money till like 3 years. I didn't become profitable till after 3 years. I was like, man, if I don't make any money, I'm gonna have to go get a job. But I just kept sticking with it. And then finally it broke through. But like you said, don't give up because you got to go through those obstacles. Everybody does it. Everybody has to go through obstacles to get to the other side.
Well,
You know?
programs like you're providing right now, this is what a lot of the African American community need. We need to know what the resources are and what things we need to do to conduct good business. Um, I think one of the criticisms that I have, and I wish that we did more as Black people, is we like to say negative things about our businesses. Like, if you go to a soul food restaurant, they're slow on the food or something like that. We dog and say we ain't gonna come back. But if we want to really help that business, we will turn around and give them some good criticism that's constructive in order for them to do better, because we want them to do it better. And we will come back again to see if they're doing better. That's how we help each other out.
You're
We
absolutely
will let,
right about that, Robert. And just case in point, I do consulting work and I help businesses that want to either get started or nonprofits to establish. And there was a lady who needed some documents notarized. So I gave her a couple of references. So she went, of course, with the person who was closest to her, and come to find out her documents got returned because that notary's, I think, license had expired or something. I don't know what happened, something to that effect. And so she called me and asked for the other person. I was like, well, I'm going to give you the other person, but I really think you should call the one who, landed you in this situation and let her know what happened, because she can't improve her business, and she's a Black notary, that she can't improve her business if she doesn't know kind of how you felt or what happened. So it is important to give that feedback to our people and their businesses if it's not right.
right. I mean, the stigma that we carry is a stigma that was placed on us by other individuals, if you know what I mean, right? When we came out of the bondage, we were doing business with each other on a regular basis until certain things happened, Black Wall Street or things in Wilmington, North Carolina, right? They discouraged us from that. And then all of a sudden, we were ostracized or told that, we couldn't do this or couldn't do that. The worst thing that we have is that we don't believe in each other, and we got to start believing more in each other. Um, I remember when I first got my insurance license, and the insurance license test is a very hard test. I went and got my life and health, my series 6 and 63. And, I studied for them. And the guy who was recruiting me at the time to join MetLife said, hey, this test is meant for you to fail. Because if everybody could pass it, then everybody would make this money, because it's a good living. You can make a good living selling insurance. And so that just put the fire in me, like, you know what, I'm gonna pass this test. I'm gonna pass this test. And I passed it the first time. Then when I got to the company that I was gonna be working for, there was a group of other individuals and I was representing, like most of the time, just me. Uh, they were sitting around talking like, oh man, you know what, shoot, that test was hard. I had to take it 2 or 3 times. Oh yeah, I took it, twice or 3 times. And, always they want to do the heat check, right? Like, well, Robert, like, what do you think about the test? I said, I passed it the first time. And they just look like they're astonished, right? Right. We set our standards for ourselves individually high, but we don't trust in each other enough to know that we can do that. And I only say that not to edify myself. I said because we all understand that that's what we faced against, right? We always got to figure out a better way to show that we're just as good, if not better, just to do some of the same things that people who maybe not qualified or as good as it, we are doing it, but make more money at doing it just because of who they are. And so we have to, get together, if we got to critique each other, fine, not take it personally, because it's hard because it's your baby, right? This is your business. But you got to come to them and saying, hey, I want you to succeed. We need you to succeed. I need you to succeed. And these are some of the areas that I want to see. You shouldn't just have to cater to the African American community. The dollar is green. Everybody has a green dollar in their pocket. We want to make sure that you succeed through all type of communities involved, and that helps our community.
That was gonna be my question. Well, I'm sure what you do, you just can't cater to the Black community. But as an entrepreneur, man, like what I know, one thing for me, what this process is doing for me is showing me who I really am. You know what I mean? Like it's showing me what I'm made of, what I'm really serious about. So you learn yourself through this process if you're paying attention, right? You learn who you are, and you know, in corporate, I pretty much had an identity, but I got by on my wits, man. I never really applied myself because I didn't care. So I didn't last long in a lot of environments. I think my longest job, I think I was there for about 7 years, you know, in 3 different roles. But you know that, you know, doing this process over the last uh, going on 3 years now, I think 2018, yeah, 3 years. Um, is just figuring me out. So during this process of, I'm noticing that I'm growing, that I'm learning myself as a person, as well as learning myself as someone who's learning business, and trying to understand how to do this on a daily basis to where it becomes my life. So, you know, it's a tough process because you really gotta look at the man in the mirror, or the woman in the mirror, and make a decision. And you know, like you said, it's not easy. You know, I made a little money, but I haven't really turned any kind of real profit yet. But I'm still in that process. But you know, I see myself just learning and growing every day, and it has a direct effect on how I do business, and the type of business that I do. And you see the shortcomings and all of that good stuff, man. Have you noticed that as well? You know, in this process for yourself?
Yeah, I have. I mean, you know, you got to be true to yourself, right? And you think you can do a lot of things, but unless you've been put to the test to see if you can do it, you don't know, right? Um, there was, when I first stepped out, there was like, man, maybe I should just get a job, you know, and do this on the side. And then, you know, I thought, well, if I do that, you know, I'm gonna get all caught up in this job because I want to succeed and I work hard on that, then we'll have enough energy for myself. You know, you have to have those talks with yourself. I mean, and it's not just one day, it's a constant battle. But just like in life, you know, you're gonna have the hills and the valleys, right? And when you get older in life versus when you're young, you know, when you have those valleys, you like panic. Like, oh, I don't know what to do. This is not happening to me. It's not supposed to go this way, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's all doom and gloom. And then, you know, you get to the other side, like, yeah, I made it. Well, being older is that, you know, when you're on top of the hill, you appreciate it. And when you're in the valley, you don't panic because you know if you just keep moving forward, you'll get to another hill, right? You just got to make sure that you can get through the valley. And that's what it is when you're a business owner. You got to know that I can get through this valley. You know, I'm going to be on top of the hill one day. So I just need to come through the valley. And if you look back, you know, there'll be people that you had to cut loose, things you had to stop doing, you know, places you had to stop going, right? And you see that those things were holding you back. And it wasn't those individuals, it was yourself, you know, because you didn't want to let go of them because you were scared or whatever. And so, you know, just keep moving forward. That's why I said just keep moving forward, keep climbing, because you're gonna get on top of that hill, right? It's not a straight line. It's not gonna be that, you know, there's gonna be days where you take one step forward, 2 steps back. But trust me, if you look back on your life and reflect on it when you're in business for yourself, you'll come a long ways. And you say, like, you know what? I amazed myself on this journey because there were things that I thought I couldn't do that I've done. And I'm gonna continue to do and do greater things. So keep on working on those scripts, man. I mean, you'll get there. You know, you'll get there. It's not if, it's just when, right? When you gonna get there. And just, you know, when you don't going down that line, going to the Academy Awards, I'll raise my hand. Just give me an autograph, give me a pound, give me something. Just remember me. Like, hey, you remember when I was talking to you when you was on your way up?
Nah, Nah, I was like, yeah, of course, man. No doubt. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Man, I didn't know we was gonna get a word tonight. Uh, quick question, somewhat off the topic of insurance, but in vein of everything we're talking about. You mentioned that in your line of work, you come across a lot of different areas of expertise and resources. And in this through this program, not only are we doing the virtual workshop like we're doing tonight, but we do one-on-one technical support. And if you're open to it, obviously not with every single thing, but I'd love the opportunity to just reach out occasionally if we have, a business that's looking for resources, looking for, a certain type of connection, just to see if you have access to that or know somebody that may be able to help that business along.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's why I'm here and other people who are invited to do this. Cause like I said before, we need to help each other. Right.
Yes,
I
sir.
have
Well,
I have a multitude of people in my resources. Cirilla will tell you, I mean, I know people. You tell me you need something, I probably know somebody who does it, or I can connect you with it, right? And that's not to brag, it's just because I make it a point to interact and network in a way that makes not me an insurance salesman, that makes me a valuable asset as a resource. Because insurance, yeah, I sell insurance. Well, let me take that back. I don't sell insurance. I offer a product that I believe that people should take advantage of to be successful in their business, right? That's what I do. But also I want to be seen as like, you know what? I need somebody who knows how to, do plumbing. I need some plumbing done around my house. I'm gonna call Robert. Now, I might not sell you insurance policy. That's okay. Because you called me because you thought enough of me as a good reference person that you can rely on getting a good resource to come do something for you. And when you get people who will just call you out of blue for something, you don't always have to conduct business with them that way. But they think enough of you to say, hey, you have enough resources, or you're the type of person I believe that can help me, assist me in this, then you're getting pretty successful in your business. And so that's how I want to be viewed as a resource for you, not just insurance, but like I said, I run into a lot of business and companies all the time, and I try to network and put those people together. And that's the second part. Put people together. Take this person over here and put that person over there and put them together and let them know you put them together so they can get together, be successful, and refer more people back to you.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, I appreciate that.
And what I like about Robert, when I first got my insurance, I didn't know anything about insurance. I was like, all I know I needed some insurance. And Robert just sat me down, like, hey, this is what this means. This is what this means. This is what you need. Blah blah blah. I mean, he actually sat me down and went through the process, not just like, okay, here's a number, here's your premium. This is what you need to pay. Right? It's more of let me show you and let me teach you about this business insurance. So I left with a better understanding of what kind of insurance I got and what I need going forward. So, we need those type of people that will sit us down and give us knowledge, because knowledge is not readily available. Like everybody says, you can go online, but it's not readily available to everybody. So
Well, I appreciate that. You came to me, and I just appreciate the opportunity to at least earn your business. And I figure that for me to be successful in earning your business, I have to educate you so you can make a good educated um, response to what I'm offering you, right? And so you want to be comfortable in that, know that Robert got me, or he didn't tell me about this or that. So I appreciate it when you came to me, and I still appreciate you now. So thank you very much.
I'm like, Robert, I need this.
I know. I was like,
Oh,
okay, just let me know what you need, and I'll see if I can get it for you.
yes, yes, yes. So, does anyone else have any questions for Robert?
I do. And just I'm asking this out of ignorance because I really don't know. But Robert, are you able to service people outside of Arizona?
Yeah, I can serve
Okay.
everybody. Now you're in where? In California?
I'm in California, but I also have people here that I might need to, I mean, I need to talk to you anyway, but because I need to like redo. Oh, never mind. I'll talk to you about my stuff later. But yeah, but I also because of what I do, I want to be able to refer people to you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And like I said, I can do business in California. But it doesn't, I mean, if I don't do business in your state where you're at, it doesn't matter. Insurance is insurance. Just call me.
Okay.
And I might know somebody in that state or somebody who can help you, and I can refer you to them to make sure that you've been taken care of well. So don't just use me as a resource.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Robert, I don't know if this is Brother Tremekis. I don't know if you've already done it or Cirilla can help us with it. But can you put your contact information in the chat?
In the chat. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, brother. I'm not that Zoom literate, but I'm gonna do this right now.
Okay.
Let's see. Can you see that?
It's coming up. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. I got this, and I want to thank you, brother, for coming on and sharing with us. You know, we as an organization, we got our insurance paid up for the year, but I believe that next time around that we're going to come and have a conversation with you because we have more of a, you know, here's the policy you need, this is how much it costs, rather than education on it, right? So I appreciate you actually taking the time and having the energy to educate and to put more behind it than just the business, because I didn't just hear you talking about the business. I heard you talking about the necessity for us as a people to have certain things in play. So I appreciate what you shared tonight.
Well, thank you very much. And I always try to make sure I make myself available for these opportunities because I believe in giving back. I've been blessed. I've been afforded the opportunity to, you know, make my own way in this earth. I've been through the valley of corporate America. I've done that, and I'm still standing. Am I where I'm supposed to be at? No, not yet, but I'm getting there. But you know what? I can't just leave people behind either.
Yes, sir.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, sir. Hear you loud and clear.
Hello, can you? Cool. Yeah, my earplug just died, so I just want to make sure. So, you know, I just want to make sure that, you know, from what I've learned that I can share with other individuals and make sure that they're successful too, because there's this saying, it's called Ubuntu, and let me make sure that it's right. And it means that a foreigner was in an African village and he saw a bunch of kids sitting around playing. So he went and put fruit at the tree and told them whoever gets to the tree first can eat all the fruit. So all the kids got up and grabbed their hands and ran at the tree and got there at the same time and started eating. And he asked, he says, well, one of the children, he says, why did you grab each other's hand and run to the tree? And he says, how can I eat if my brother or sister cannot eat?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu.
You know what, brother?
Ubuntu.
We are starting a school as an organization. And the name of our school is the Ubuntu Academy.
There you go.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So, you know, if I'm successful and you starving, does that mean I'm successful, really?
Thank you. Beautiful.
Cool. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I'll just do it one more time. Any other questions? All right. Well, thanks, Robert, for this presentation. You gave us a lot to think about. Thank you for offering your services as a resource to us. I'm sure we're going to take you up on that offer.
Please do. I want you to.
Cool.
And
Well,
let me do this. Let me do this. That is my office number, but let me give you my personal cell number. So let me know if anybody needs it, or I can put it in the chat if I can figure it out. And then that way you can text me and you don't have to go through my office number because it shuts off at 5 o'clock. And if you want to talk to me after that, that would be fine.
If you could put it in the chat, that'd be great.
I think I'm working it out right now, brother. Hold on one
Okay.
second.
All right. If you need to write it down and hold it up, we could do that too.
Yeah, all right. Can everybody see that in the chat?
Yes, sir.
All right. You can feel free to call or text that number. It goes to my cell phone.
All right. Well, thanks, Robert, again. We appreciate, you know, educating us on business insurance and so that we can get better at what we're doing. Our next class which is on August 3rd. Ooh, these months are flying by. Talking about developing a marketing strategy plan. So there's two parts to this. We have part 1 and part 2. So you definitely want to come and take a look at your marketing plan for your business. So that's the next one on August 3rd at 6:30. But thank you guys again for coming. I know it's a long day. It's been a long day for me. But again, we showed up and we got educated. So it's always a good thing. So I will see you all on August 3rd. This is being recorded. So if you want to come back and review it, and if you want to get Robert's information again, it will be on the recording. Okay.
All right. Thank you for having me. You guys have a blessed evening.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
All right. Thanks, everyone. You guys have a
Thank
good
you,
night
Robert.
and a good weekend.
You guys
Thank
have a
you.
good
Have a good weekend.
Everybody.